Hey everyone, my name is Carrie Wallace. I am the founder of FamGuru. We're so glad that you're here. And I've been a travel advisor and small boutique agency owner for 20 plus years. I'm also the founder, of course, of FamGuru. Joining me today is Melissa Lopez. She leads our development team
Hi,
in
everyone.
Argentina. So we've got multi-continents going on today, which is great. Always love to see that. Appropriate for travel, right? And so she's going to be moderating our conversation today. So it's a small group. You're welcome to just jump in and ask questions as we go along or drop them into the chat. And Melissa will make sure that I answer it as we go. I love the question part. That's my favorite part of these kinds of presentations because I learn so much from all of you and I never know it's coming, which is kind of fun. So in any event, today we're going to take you through a demonstration of FamGuru. Some of you may have heard about it. Some of you may have even seen it. Meg has seen it, of course. And we're going to be talking about what it is and how it works and how it helps you in what you're doing within your roles and how it makes the planning and execution easier of fam trips. We're going to also understand how it helps before you're actually traveling, while you're traveling, and after the trip is over so that people can be better prepared, all of you and your participants, and during so people can better capture what they're learning in your destinations and with your products. And then after, how that sets them up for success to be able to sell what they've learned more effectively. So before we dive in too much further, I'll just talk a little bit about how I came to start FamGuru. And so as an advisor, I've had the good fortune to go on fam trips around the world. But I always found it very challenging because you get to a destination, you're seeing so many hotels and you're eating at many restaurants and you're experiencing all the great things that there is to know about that location, but it's very overwhelming. And so I find it very hard to get organized. And the week after I would come back from that trip, I would always have the good intention to write up a report, to share it with my colleagues and share it with my clients. It never really quite happened because there was just too much going on and I had 600 emails in my inbox. So I always thought, well, while I'm traveling, why isn't there a tool that I can capture all of this great information and put it all together at the time of travel so that I can just click a button and have those reports generated for me when I get back? Why isn't there an app for that? Well, I guess there wasn't an app for that. So that's how I came to start FamGuru from the advisor perspective, thinking, well, if I could get more organized, maybe other people or my team could get more organized, my industry colleagues could get more organized, and it would be a lot easier to remember everything that we're seeing so we can use it to sell more effectively. We've gone on these great trips. We want to return the favor, but we're not doing our jobs. But I also realized that if we're not doing things as well as we should as advisors, then all of you as our partners have a problem too. Because not only do if we can't get organized and sell as we should, you're making this great investment in it, and then the return on the investment may not be there like it should be. But I also realized in that process, after creating the app for advisors, first of all, that there's a whole upstream side of this before the trip that's really difficult to manage. And I'm the worst as an advisor. You have to chase me for all of that data and my dietaries and all of my flight information. So we created a partner version of FamGuru to be able to manage that information, take the time out of the process, automate so much of that interface with the advisor or participant, and to be able to connect all of that to the outcome that we want at the end is for people to be selling our destinations and our products. And so that's the vision for FamGuru. That's what we started. We're in the process of that. You'll see where we've come to today. And certainly there's more that we're aiming for as we go forward. So anyway, that's just a bit about how this all started. But what is FamGuru? It's basically a system to manage and simplify the FAM process from start to finish. And so we're using technology to make the planning and the execution easier, while also helping our participants to get more organized and be more proactive. And so, we have a cross section of people here. We have, DMC, we have DMO, there might be some hoteliers joining us. And so while there isn't necessarily, we're all very different, there is a need for this process to be organized into a system that automates what we're doing. And it's important because FAMs take a lot of time, don't they? I mean, it's a lot of information to organize. It's a lot of moving pieces. And that's why a system makes things easier. And also the FAM trip is a marketing program. You're investing in this, and we do need return on our investment. Me as an advisor, you as partners, we need for the people that go on our trips, not only to sell it for themselves, but to also be sharing that widely with their clients, sharing that widely with their colleagues to take that one person and 1,000x that one person's exposure to your product for their to many other people beyond them. And so that's really a bit about what I wanted to introduce with FamGuru. And so our agenda today is to walk you through the platform and to show you what it is and answer questions and talk about where we're going. And so we'll be starting by showing you how we set up a fam trip in FamGuru using both our AI tool to make that easier, and then we'll show you how to do it manually as you need to tweak or make edits. And we'll talk about the different elements that are part of FamGuru and how that can save you time as we go along. How does that cut down on the email and everybody's inboxes and manage everything in one place? And we'll show you how to better engage with advisors and participants along the course of the trip, from prior to during to after, and show you what the advisors are experiencing as well as when they're traveling with you. And then we'll talk a little bit about the future, talk about our revenue model, all of that stuff. So we'll dive into that. So sound good so far? Any initial questions or thoughts before we actually do a visual here? Okay,
No,
I see some nods. That's good. I like it. All right. So what we're going to do is I'm going to start by sharing my screen. So let me do that and bring over my FamGuru window here. We're going to be working on FamGuru on the web today. Now, FamGuru has two parts to it. We have a mobile app, so you can use it on location or use it when you're not at your computer. For our purposes today and for when you're setting up a trip, the FamGuru is probably best used on the website. It's a little easier to use that way instead of working on a small screen. So we'll be focusing on that today. But please know if after this session, if you'd ever like me to share what the advisor sees on the app, I'm happy to do so as well. So welcome to FamGuru. This is our homepage for planning purposes. The first thing I would love to share with you is just a little bit about what's here. So we have our active trips, and active trips are anything that is happening today or in the future. And then we have our past trips. So you can see anything that has happened previously. Always go back to that. We have notifications that are coming in. And I'd also like to share a bit about accounts. So let us check here under accounts. So like every software, everybody has an account, right? You have to have your login. And so from our perspective, it's really important because this information is needed in practically every trip that someone is traveling on. And yes, my birthday, just FYI, is 2022. But this is the basic information that you're typically always collecting from your participants, right? And you'd love to have their socials, you'd love to know their emergency contact information, certainly the professional information, a bit about them. And then how many times do we collect dietaries from people every year? Too many times. So it lives here in FamGuru. Once they accept your trip in FamGuru, this information is available to you to be able to use as you need to work with your partners and on the ground staff to be able to compile and get that information where it needs to go. So please know that everyone has an account on FamGuru. Let's see. Also, as you're going along, we always have help content too. So if you have questions, you can pop in there. You'll start to see little tips within the platform or little eyes from place to place. You can always click on those to learn more about what's going on in the context of a page. So first of all, we're going to be starting by creating a trip. So if we're doing that, really to create a trip, you don't need that much information. We suggest a cover image. This is your hero image that represents your trip and destination, something that people will see during the course of their time with you, both before and after. And the trip lives in FamGuru forever afterwards. So if the advisor needs to refer to it 2 weeks after, 6 months after, 3 years after, they can do that. So you choose an image that represents that trip to the people you're traveling with. And we'll talk about the AI in just a second. But to set up a trip, it's really quite simple. Name of the trip, your dates, trip invitation text. When you're inviting people into the trip on FamGuru to join you, this is a couple of sentences that they will receive in the email that invites them. So you can customize this text. And certainly a trip description, a few sentences about what this trip is all about, what they're going to learn, so that they can see this before and then refer to it after and say, yes, that's right. That's what we did on that trip. So let us talk about, though, what's easier to do at this stage is to take an existing PDF of the trip structure. So this might even be a past trip that you have, or maybe it's even a spreadsheet that you've put together and put in PDF. and to upload it here because this will help us create the structure in FamGuru. So I'm going to do that here with a very simple past trip. And this is really a one-night fam, but it could be a much longer, more complicated fam. The limitation here is just 30 PDF pages. That's a really long fam trip for the record. hopefully it's, but we know I have seen one longer than 30 pages, but this one's relatively simple. It's just a couple. So it's our AI right now is reading this document and extracting the different elements of the trip, the different, the hotel stays, the dinners, etc. So it's a short one. It's already done it. This can take up to a minute or two, but it's reading it and it says that it's given it a name. It's also given it a description based on the document. You can always edit this information, very simple to do. From here, check that your dates are correct. This was a past trip. I like to use this one because it's only one night. And so it's simple to do. So those were the correct dates. And then you would choose your organization. Now everybody has a personal organization, and then you can build your company organization. So we'll put this in, I have several because of my testing here, but I'll put this in FamGuru. And then we create, that's our next step. What happens now is that the AI allows us to review what it did because we know AI is not perfect. So this is basically an intermediary step to allow you to make sure that the quality is there. Does this all look correct? Is the ordering correct? If not, we can drag and drop the order if we need to. Is this a hotel stay, or perhaps was this a site inspection? So you can always edit at this stage and change anything about the times or the type of activity that we're working with here. So, and it looks actually quite good. This looks exactly as I expect. So once we've done our quality control check, we'll go ahead and create the itinerary in FamGuru. And important to note that you can do this one time, because if you already create an itinerary and then try to re-import an AI over that, that's a recipe for a big mess. And so you want to do this from scratch before you've even created the trip. If you create the structure of the trip, then want to import via the AI, better to just start over and do the AI from the get-go. So it's just something that we want to make sure that you know so that you don't think that you can do it later. So what this has done is taken us to the new trips homepage. And here is our description that the AI brought in, our title. If we need to do any editing, we can always go back to this page, which we saw before. And then we have the members of the trip. This is just a snapshot that we're looking at of what's part of this trip. And I'll start by going to the itinerary. The left-hand navigation is where you're doing most of your work in FamGuru. And sure enough, it brought everything in here. Terrific. So that's just a little bit about how the AI works. And it's nice because you can create everything on an individual basis. You can create a hotel stay. You can create a site inspection, a restaurant. I don't think Las Vegas is too worried about a cruise right now, for example. And there are in other elements. And so if it's an other element, this could be a tour, this could be a flight, this could be a transfer. We will be adding these elements, these different kinds of a few other elements in the future, but we want to avoid having too many. So we always have the not elsewhere classified elements. So any questions right now for the moment? So far, so good. Any questions coming up? Happy to answer them. But that's just a bit about how we would initially structure. What I'm going to be doing right now is I'm going to go over to another itinerary that's actually already built that has some data in it. And so it's, let's see, hold on. Let me go to my past trips. There's just one here I want to pull up. Okay. And we'll go to the itinerary here and I'll just show you how it works to add an element within FamGuru. So let's add a site inspection here in Santa Monica. And so let's look at shutters on the beach. Okay. And this brings it in via Google Maps. And so what it's done is it's given me the address, the map, the URL. Google does not bring in a phone number, but that's easy enough to add. And then you'll set it in you'll decide the date that you want this to be on and the time. And so what I'm going to do is 10 p.m. for this one. All right, I will, for our overseas friends, you can, in your preferences, you can set this in 24-hour clock. You don't have to work in 12-hour. And so if you have a group that's working in 12-hour, they can set their preferences. So you can structure it in 24 and they'll see it in 12. So you whatever you wish to work in. So just a point about that. As you're going here, you can add any professional, you can add your contacts. You can add a cover image here. So if you want to display what the property looks like, if you want to add some professional photos, you can do that here, or video. Any files about the property can also be added. This should be your spa menu, your activity list, your latest press release about the property, and then certainly any contacts. So it could be the local on-site contacts. It could be your contacts if you're as a destination management company, for example, and you would prefer that people contact you directly, however you wish to do it. And if this is something that you expect to use time and again, you can add this element to your library. And so this is something that once you create it, will always live there. You can pull it in as you're creating an element in the future. You don't have to re-add all of these photos and contacts as you go. So let me just save. And then that will come into our itinerary. Doesn't always come in perfectly here, but that's why we have drag and drop. And so we'll put that at our 4 p.m. site inspection time. So really straightforward to manage in terms of adding something. If you need to edit something, you would simply go into one of these and you can, Zoom thing is covering my buttons, but here you can go into edit. You can also, there's also many actions that you can do from any element of the trip. You can add to the library. You can change it to a different type of element. Maybe this is meant to be a site inspection, or you can delete it. So you can also put the itinerary in published or hidden status. When you invite a participant, they automatically get that email that says, hey, sign up for FamGuru and join our trip. And once they do, they can come in and they'll see what's here. But if you're working on it and you'd rather they not see it, you can put it in hidden status for a while. It is important when they first come in that you have at least a skeleton there. Everyone knows it will change, but if they don't see anything, then they will probably wonder if they're in the right place. So it's always good to have a little something there as you're doing your invitations. We'll talk about invitations in a moment. Let's see. Any questions so far on itinerary? Pretty easy so far. I see some nods. Okay, easy group today. Thank you.
What, Carrie, on that published version, so you said to have a skeleton. So if you have it hidden, the itinerary hidden, is there a skeleton? No. Nothing is seen.
Nothing is seen. So I think the important distinction here, Meg, is that when you do your invitations, people are going to be getting signed up. So as that process is happening, it's good to have the skeleton. As you're working on it in the future, maybe there's a lot of things moving around. You might want to take it offline for the hour or two that you're working on it and put it back when you're done. And then that way your participants are not seeing the midway point of the itinerary. So it's just some people do it, some people don't. It's up to you, whatever makes sense. And as you're going along, they're not getting notifications about whether you're adding something or not. You can set your preferences for that. Those are toggled off by default. So they're not getting pinged about, oh, this is happening, this is happening, this is happening. So we don't want to harass them with too many notifications. Although it is possible, if you want to see it and turn it on in yours just to see that it's happening, you totally can do that.
So another question for you. When you went to add shutters on the beach, so you just start to type in shutters on the beach and that pulled in from the internet? It's not something you already had in the library.
This is Google Maps enabled. So when you're doing a Google search and you're searching for shutters on the beach in Google, it's the same process. And so if we wanted to search for the Bellagio Las Vegas, right? And sometimes it's good to just put in the destination and there we go. And you can, maybe you can choose what it pulls up, but obviously this is the most appropriate one.
And so Carrie, if you've got a supplier or I'm thinking of a particular like private experience that you wouldn't find, you wouldn't find it on Google, you can still do that?
Yes. So this is how I would structure that, Christy, is in the itinerary, we would do that as an other element, right? And so in this case, we would just say private experience or whatever it is, and you would simply put in the details. And it's not doing a Google search for you. You can't Google search yoga on the beach, or you can't Google search, private Sistine Chapel experience or whatever it is, right? Yeah, and so this is how you would do it. You would do it in the other booking, and you would not have to. And certainly, in the case of a hotel, If for some reason it's not listed in Google, there is a way you'll see to add it manually. So it doesn't have to come from Google if you'd rather, or you don't happen to see what it is. You can just simply type everything in to your satisfaction. So
okay, great. Thank you.
Good. Okay, perfect. All right. So that's just a bit about the itineraries. Let's see. If we're good with that, the other thing too, we can navigate up here so you're not scrolling back and forth all the time. So if I wanted to go down to the 15th, I could do that here. One of the things I'd like to show you before moving on to the members and the participants is, well, what happens? What is the advisor or the participant experiencing when they're with you? How is this interfacing with their phone while they're on the trip, right? And while we're not going to look at the phones today, I'll just explain it to you. So this is the structure that you're creating for them. I call this the professional portion of the archive. So this is something that you can put in all of your photos in advance, all of your documents. These are things that often come to the advisor after the trip is over by way of about 10 emails, each with 10 PDFs each. So it's a lot of information after the fact that gets lost. If you're putting this in ahead of time, this forms the part of the archive that comes from you that they can always refer back to instead of digging through their emails, instead of looking for that photo gallery or that one link somewhere that they maybe can't find when they really need it in the future. I also love, for a destination in particular, to put in something what I call a notes element. This is just another element, which is a place where the structure is going to the advisor for everything in this itinerary. They can take notes and add their photos so that they can capture their experiences. I'd like to add a note section for the destination. So if you're in destination number 1, you would say destination number 1 notes. And what does that do for the advisor? Gives them a place to actually add their insights. Now, it doesn't look like much here in your view, but what they can do, and they can do this on their phone or they can do it on the web, is they can come in and they can add their notes. So this is their notes on Santa Monica. They can give it a rating. And we have 2 sections. We have public and private. And in the public, why the 2? Public is something that you as a host can see. So you can go to that person in the membership area and see what they're saying about Santa Monica or about hotel number 1 or hotel number 2. You'll see the rating, you'll see the photo and video that they upload, or any public comments that they make. But advisors are very keen to tell us that we need a place for our own private information as well, because maybe it's a do not sell for us, or maybe there's something that just isn't right for our client base. And so what would they say that they can keep to themselves? And also we want them thinking about, not that I'm having a great time on this trip, which they probably are, but this is a trip to be thinking about, who are we going to sell this to? Who are we going to sell this experience to, this property to in the future? So we want for them to be saying, all right, what kind of people would be good for Santa Monica? Or what people do I think I want to talk to about this in the future? So being able to capture what they're thinking about and making them think about who they'll be talking to once they get home and putting that down in their notes is important, because we want them thinking about sales afterwards, right? So that's what one might do in terms of the insights. I'll also show you, it's a little bit different for a hotel, because there's more to learn about a hotel. I mean, there's a lot of detail to capture about a hotel. So insights look a teeny bit different. It's the same public and private structure. And so you'll see in here, I've uploaded my general photos and my public content comments. I've also put in some private notes. But there may be contacts that weren't preloaded for me that I might like to add. That could be the concierge, the pool boy, whatever it was that I thought was fabulous and want to stay in touch with. And then as an advisor, the rooms, oh my gosh, how many times do we take hundreds of pictures of rooms on a FAM just to forget what hotel it was and what room category it was later? We try our best, but it comes fast and furious. But this is a way to segment and keep it all together. So you can keep general information about rooms at the property, but if you want to segment it, you can add a room. And so in this case, maybe this was my room that I stayed at. I can download that and use that media for my future marketing purposes. On my phone, I can put that on social media. Any photo in FamGuru or any video can go onto social media, or can be shared via text or an email directly to a client. And here is my commentary on that particular room. So this was one of my big pain points, because I couldn't keep it all straight. It was far too much to manage. Similarly for food and beverage, if a property has multiple outlets, it could be the lobby bar, it could be the breakfast nook, it could be the Michelin star restaurant. And then for wellness, Is this the gym? Is this the tennis court, the golf course, the hammam, what have you? My other favorite is common areas, because I would always forget to go see parts of a hotel if I was there. And, this is a place where people can sort of say, oh, I haven't, oh, what other types are there? Oh, I haven't seen the kids club. I'm a family specialist. I should ask about that. So this can jog my memory to be able to remember to engage with that part of the property, take notes on it, add photos with it, and be able to offer my clients a 360-degree view of this experience once I get back. So, all right. So for every part of the itinerary, they can take notes and add their photos. And people will do this differently. Some people will just do photos. Some people will write encyclopedias. Other people might just jot down a few notes. It's really up to the individual, but it's there for them at the depth that they wish to engage with it. So, okay, questions on that part? So that's a bit, and they'll see this, of course, most of this will happen on a phone, but again, sometimes it's easier to type on the web. On the phone, you can also you can use your phone's speech to text. And so if you want to just write volumes, you can just talk to your phone and it will do that for you. Right. Okay, great. So let's move on to, we've been talking about the itinerary, but let's talk about the people that we're inviting. And this will give you a bit of an overview. So let's say we have our participant list here. And if to invite somebody to the list, it's quite simple. We would just put in an email and it adds to this list. And people on the trip themselves have different roles. So a trip editor is somebody who can edit anything about the trip. The participant would be the advisor or the media person. A viewer is just somebody perhaps within your organization that needs to know what's going on, but doesn't need to have editing rights and just is following along. When you send out, when you can queue up this list of invitations, and when you're ready to send, you can decide who is sending this email. So it could be me, it could be Melissa, it could be any other trip editor that's in your group, and the advisor would receive that invitation in their inbox from that person's name. If you want to set an expiration date and, let's say you're trying to fill this trip, and so you want to send your first 10 invitations and make sure those people can come, you can set an expiration date, after which time they will no longer be able to come in and accept the trip. They get, when we hit send, that sends the invitation to the email box. The person receives it with your custom text and can click through, set up an account in FamGuru, and accept your trip. We recommend doing this, actually, once you already know who your list is. We really haven't done too much with the upstream portion of inviting, because there's a million different ways people do this. And so to try to codify that in software is maybe not we'd have to make it so flexible. So we just say it's usually better if you're coming, who's already on your trip, rather than trying to invite from FamGuru. You can do it if you wish. It really is probably easier if you know the list already. So visibility, let's say you have a number of people on your team that are not traveling on the trip, but they are actually helping out. You can take them off the list. They're still on the trip, but your participants will not see their name. So if they're just on the helping side and they're not actually traveling, you might want to hide them. All of these little things have come to us via people that we've been talking to and using the product over the last, couple of years. It's been wonderful to have so much commentary. Also, we all know that, we're all email marketers as well, and we know it's sometimes hard to get emails into people's inboxes, right? So we have started instituting little tools to say, okay, this is the status of the invitation. It was sent and it was delivered, and the push notification was queued to that person. But if you see that there's an error here, maybe there's a problem with the email address, or maybe there's a firewall that we're dealing with. We're all dealing with firewalls most of the time, but oftentimes that can be resolved by getting somebody to put you on safe sender status. Okay, what else is on this? Let's talk about requirements. You see this column here, 0 of 2, 2 of 2. Quite often you need information from the people that are traveling with you. And so you have the ability to set up requirements. You might need their flight information. You might need passport copies. And so when you do that, you can add a requirement: arrival, departure, passport, dietaries, waiver, terms and conditions. You can put that all in here. What does that do? So a requirement, when a person joins your trip, they're pinged with an email and they're pinged with a push notification saying, hey, we need your passport copy. So they can upload through FamGuru, keeping all of this off of email and taking it out of your inbox as well. And it allows that process to happen in one place where you can see what's actually happening. And so, for example, in the passport section, I've already uploaded this, but you can see here, oops, let's see. You can see here, I have uploaded my passport, voila. And so you get a notification that they've done it. You can approve it, make sure they didn't put a picture of their very cute dog here. And you can see you can see that process happening. One of the things that we've realized about the requirements, though, is that after you have about more than 3 or 4 in FamGuru, then that is a little wearing on the advisor. That's a lot of back and forth. They might be used to just sending you an email. That email is a nightmare for you, but it's very simple for them. You're trying to take all that information and copy and paste it into a spreadsheet and get it where it needs to go. And that's what FamGuru does for you. But we are working on ways to make it as easy for the advisor to send an email basically back to FamGuru with the information that they need, and also to be able to organize that information for you. So we'll be seeing some changes in this, some simplifications from the advisor point of view. We did have one user who did 18 requirements. That's a little, I know, it's a little overwhelming. I see Meg shaking her head. A little overwhelming. It didn't work so well, let's just say that. But it also made us, it was good. It was an extreme case. It made us realize that it needs to be as easy as filling out a form or sending an email. And so we will be making some changes to how this is done, recognizing that the technology should be serving everyone. And so more news will be coming in that regard. And so from our member screen, we can see who's done what. From the requirements screen, you can also resend. FamGuru resends afterwards, and it increases the rate of send as we get closer to the deadline date that you've specified, but you can always resend from there as well if you just need to ping people and say, hey, knock, knock, are you coming? Also, let's take a look at an individual. Actually, we'll not take a look at Carrie there. We'll take a look at Carrie here. And once they're confirmed, all of this information from the profile comes over to you, as we were talking about before, and the professional information, the dietaries, and the status of requirements. We can see that Carrie has done both of hers, but we could check by individual to see who has not done the requirements. And then public notes. We were talking about this before. And here is what I thought of my stay in the hotel. And here's my photo again, right? And walking tour of Santa Monica, et cetera, et cetera. So as we're going along through the trip, you'll start to see how your participants are engaging. And what you can see here is the public notes, what they're choosing to share with you. Insights, what is that? Now, if there's somebody in your own organization, so let's say it's Dream Escape, and let's say you're using FamGuru not necessarily for a public fam trip, but you're using it for your own internal product scouting knowledge, which you can also do if you're going out and doing your internal fam, so to speak. You can have people within your organization also share the private insights because they're part of your organization. They're not part, and that's part and parcel of being part of your company. And so you could go in and see all of the public and private and everything that I put in here, not just the public notes. But if they're not part of your organization, you would not see that. So just to let you know. One nice feature about this is in here from our trip homepage, we can compile those notes. So if you have a group traveling with you, and say you have 5 people on the trip, you want to see what they're saying about everything, you can create that document right here. And that's lovely because one, you can see what they're saying and have the feedback on the different elements of the trip, but also it's something you can share with your partners on the ground. So the hoteliers probably want to know what they're saying. You might already have to do a report on this. And so what we have here is a snapshot of the overall itinerary, and then it goes into the day by day. This is what Carrie said about Santa Monica. And so there would be, if there were more data, you would see it by individual. This could also be shared with your group to be able to round out their knowledge. We all see different things. So it's a nice way to say, okay, Carrie saw this, but Susie saw that. Likewise, you could anonymize this. And so replace Carrie with an advisor number 1. And it would be a lovely sales tool to be able to say, this is the feedback that came from our last fam trip. And by the way, don't you think you could sell this destination? Having your peers' insights right here for you. I think I've seen examples of this where I had never been to a place in Panama, for example, and I could totally sell those properties in that destination based on what my peers had said. So it could be a nice sales tool as well. All right. So and finally on the members, if one of the pain points too is how do we get all this data over to our partners? And so we have tools for that. But the first of which is a spreadsheet export. So if we want to export our list of participants and all of their information, we can do that here. We're oftentimes using a spreadsheet anyway and collating the information. And so this is going to pull in our different participants and different columns of data that you can send along. And so here we've got, and we're working to make this even more customizable, but you can put in all of your requirements. You can make sure that your requirements are listed here. So here's my passport again. So I don't have to upload I don't have to download their passport and then upload it and then email it 5 times to different people. The spreadsheet could serve to go to whoever who needs to see this on the itinerary. The other thing that you can do, I'll do this from the trip screen, is you can export profiles of all the members. So let's say the group is having dinner with the general manager of a hotel one night, and you need for the general manager to be a bit cognizant of who they are or he would like to be. So you can export a profile and include that all of those details about their requirements with it if you wish. And that puts together a PDF person by person that can go back of house to be able to give to the property or to the guide or whoever it is. Eventually this will generate to give them a bit of information about who they're meeting with. So that can be a nice feature to have as well. And hopefully when it's in a PDF, it generates a little bit more slowly, but hopefully that will be up in just a second.
So Carrie, so even something like their dietary restrictions, if you want to share that with the chef of a restaurant ahead of time, you could do that here.
Absolutely. You could take that spreadsheet, you can give the name and the dietaries and send it right along, or you could do it in the form of this. If it's important to have more detail, you could do it in the form of the dossier, I call it, or the profile. So here's my profile for this is advisor number 1 and all of my details. And here's my flight information. I can click here and see that same passport copy if I wish. And so however you choose to do it, whether it's in the spreadsheet format. So here's our second person, her profile is maybe not as built out as well, but you'll see each individual that has provided information as part of the trip to what they have here. So that could be sent along as well.
And so it seems like we've always been very conscientious about information about our FAM participants sharing certain information. Right. So I assume that if a participant provides some of these details, is there anything that they're agreeing to allow us to share that kind of detail?
When they accept the trip, when they first click through and set up their account and accept your trip, there is a couple of statements that says you agree that we can share this information with our partners is for the purposes of planning and executing the trip. Okay. And this is really no different. You're executing this, you're doing this today anyway. Granted, this is coming through a software platform right now, so it is important to tell people what's actually happening. And so we do that before, and they have to accept those terms to be able to continue and accept your trip. So it is stated to them up front. Things like the passports, those go away. You can't see them after your trip is over, for example. Right. So if it's really personal information, we're just saying you get to use it, but when that trip is done, no, not until the next trip. So just
something else, I don't know if you've encountered, but it's always been kind of a concern. I know we used to do this with media, not necessarily our travel advisor FAMs or meeting planners. But for certain activities that to absolve us from liability, that they agree, that they understand, there might be some risk. Is there anything within FamGuru that protects us from those situations?
Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you asked that question, Meg, because under our requirements section, and we talked about terms and conditions. And so what you can do is you can set this up as a requirement. And you can say it's your liability, and you can create the statements that they have to agree to. And every statement will have a tick box. And when they see it on their side, they need to not only tick the boxes, but then type in their name as a digital signature, the date is there, and submit. And so again, if it's something that you need prior to travel, you can set that up here as well. And it kind of beats sending a Word document that they have to print out and sign and scan and send back to you. So I'm doing this. I'm working with a group called Travel Pivots right now. It's a small conference and which is actually taking place next week. We have 50 participants, and we did need them to, they came about because we needed them to sign a liability waiver. And so it's actually working really well. We got the whole group to do it, and nobody had any issues with it. And it was a very clean way to make that happen easily. So I'm glad you asked that question. All right, so that's a bit about the members and the data that you can compile, and thank you for those questions. I'm conscious we're coming to the end of our 45 minutes here, so I'll run through some other things just briefly to let you know. We've talked about Itinerary, the gallery. We're basically on a mission to eliminate the WhatsApp group. Why is that? Well, one, people can leave your WhatsApp group afterwards, and so you can't get to them again, but also WhatsApp with all of that media, about 9 months to 12 months later, they put some of that into deep storage. So your participants may not be able to get to all of those photos and videos that they remembered having. We have a photo and media gallery here. We should change this, Melly, to shared media gallery. But you can upload photos or media from the phone. Again, as the first time they're putting into this gallery, it is mentioned that this is shared. Other people can use this information. You agree to it. Otherwise, you don't have to put anything in this gallery. It's up to you. And so this is something that where you can place here all of those sunset photos, those selfies, those best room photos that we're always taking on the trip, and have that there for everyone outside of a WhatsApp group. And when you're done, you can come here and you can download whichever you would prefer to use in your own marketing if you have something that you would like to showcase about the trip, for example. We also created a chat capability, and it can be done. You can send a group message. You can, in the chat, you can add photo, video, or files. They have the choice whether they want to put that in the gallery as well. They'll be asked if they'd like to add that photo to the gallery as well. And then you can also do one-to-one. If I want to do a one-to-one chat with Karen, I can set that up, or do a small group. So it functions a lot like WhatsApp. It's not quite as comprehensive, but you can do emojis, you can do responses, and you don't have to pass the phone around. You don't have to set it up in advance. It's already part of it. They can't leave the group. So you can talk to them after the trip. Hey, 6 months later, this is what's new. This is what I want to share. Or somebody can come back and say, hey, I just booked, the clients are coming soon. So it's a nice way to keep that FOMO and that conversation going after the trip. Let's see. Files and info, if you need to share anything specific about something in the itinerary, it could be dress code, it could be history of the destination, it could be anything else about an event that they're attending, you're able to put that here. And notifications, if someone drops you, somebody's passport has been uploaded, you can check it and make sure it's good to go. Broadcast, this is a one-way chat basically. So if you just want to say on the trip, it's just, bags in the lobby at 8:15, we're leaving at 8:30. And then if you don't want people to just start a whole chat chain, you just need to give information. That'll send a push notification and an email to let them know that this is happening. The nice thing too, all of this happens in real time. Any changes that you need in your itinerary, if you put them on the web, or you can make changes from your phone as you're going, that will be automatically cascaded to them the next time they look at their itinerary. And so everything will always be up to date as we go. So I know we're at 45 minutes. There's a lot we haven't talked about yet. I'll just mention briefly, we have over 5,000 users on the platform right now. That's a combination of travel suppliers, DMOs, and advisors. The vast majority being advisors. If we think about the ratio, that makes good sense. And we have people like Four Seasons Hawaii on the platform, Preferred Hotels, Queen of Clubs, Visit West Hollywood, the Bahamas Tourism Board. So, it's still early days, but we're excited to have people coming on and finding value in what we're doing. And wow, there's still so much more to talk about. Why don't I open it up for a question or two? If people need to head out, I understand. And I have more to say, but why don't I stop for questions for a moment?
I do have a couple.
Sure.
So in the photos and media,
right,
is because some of the things we have are restricted by licensing, and can you set it as an expiration? Say this, because I could think of some images for Laughlin, and they're only good until like next day because we don't have the licensing rights anymore. We're not renewing them. So is there a way to set that to expire, or I just have to go in and pull it?
At the moment, we don't have that. It would be very easy for us to do that. And that's part of why it's great to have Melissa on this conversation, because she can bring that back and say, okay, we could create a capability to set an expiration date. It would not be hard to do.
And then still on photos and media, if like I've got properties that are going through multi-million-dollar renovations right now. So if we say we had a FAM and the renovations were not done yet, they're due in the next 12 months. If I go in and update photos for that property, is there a way for me to update them in the itinerary?
So yes, you can always, as a member of FamGuru, you can always go back to your past trips. If you wanted to go back and add in new media, new photos, you totally could do that. And then the people, as they're referring back to them in the future, would be able to see that as well.
And one last question, because this happens to us all the time. Last minute cancellations. When you've done all this work and they've got the whole itinerary, they got everything, and next thing you know, oh, I can't make it.
Right. It happens. It's a shame, but it does. And so you would delete them off the trip.
Okay.
They're not coming.
And we'd have the ability to maybe, so if we had a wait list, we could add those people, resend it?
Yeah. Well, right. Well, you can invite members to the trip at any time that's convenient to you. So if you took one person off and you wanted to invite somebody else in, absolutely. You could do that the day before if you wished, as long as they were willing to get on a plane and join you, for it.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Sue, Christy, any things from your side?
No, it looks great. You do on the gallery media, you've got video as well. You can upload video, can you?
You can, in fact, yes. Yeah, these just all happen to be photos. If it were a video, it would have the triangle on top of it to see it.
But I had the same question as Meg with regards to the licensing, because a lot of our images that we tend to use are from Getty and iStock, so that it's for us to use rather than everyone. You have to be really careful. But I guess these images primarily are from people on their phone when they're on the trip, I guess.
Right. It's not like you're using this in marketing communications, for example, right? And I would presume with those images anyway, you're using them in certain respects, perhaps in FAMs anyhow, right? You might be sharing that with advisors along the way or not.
Yeah, we do pride ourselves on our FAM trips and itineraries because we do use the stock images rather than any image. So they are quite pieces of art. So that's just the look and feel of the itinerary that we share.
And I think one of the things that I'll mention, and I think this is not meant to replace your beautiful itinerary, right? We know that this is who you are. You're demonstrating how you show up to clients, right? And so it is possible to include that as part of the files and information. It is part, you probably still want to use that as you're going out to invite people into the FAM. And so that is very much, we don't want to replace that in any way. This is meant to be a tool for them to receive that information, have it in a very simple place day by day, and be able to take some notes in conjunction with that. And so, I see it as additive. They're going to definitely still experience you and see your beautiful itinerary.
And then do you see our branding on this as well, logos and stuff?
Goodness, I'm actually glad you spoke about that. So we do have branding. It's an add-on to our current plans, but I will show you. Let's see. If we go into the organization section, I'm going to go to the FamGuru organization. We have a section here called branding, and we can turn this on for those who are using it. And so we can bring in the logo. What does that do? So that provides the logo on the trip for the participant. It provides the logo on the emails that are communicating with the individuals. From the invitation to the follow-up emails as well. And as you're going along, the trip hero image will, here's an example of the invitation. This is just a mock-up, but you'll see the hero image will come in from your trip, and it will also have your logo at the top, like my FamGuru logo is here. And so that's part of it. You can also, I'm going to just give you a peek at what we're doing with travel pivots because we're using it here. And so we have, in this case, an in partnership with, and so there might be people that are, perhaps sponsors or key participants on the ground with you. I see Meg nodding because I know this happens with Las Vegas quite a lot. And so you can do that. And we are just about ready to be able to do that on an element by element basis in the itinerary. So you can put your restaurant, partner's logo on there, or you could put the specific hotelier's logo on there. Right now, we've been putting that in the images section, but this will be proper logos for the purposes of branding and letting people know who is really part of this trip that we're trying to give exposure to. And
okay,
so
that's good. That's important for us because we've always got the hotel partners or the product providers.
Right. What I think is important to know is that in FamGuru, they might have several different trips. So the branding for you would belong to the trip. It could not be sort of a white label for the entire app, for example, because they might have one trip to Las Vegas with Meg and then another trip to the UK with you. And so, but that's all within their FamGuru. So if their agency is branding, that can be branded on the agency level. That's one thing. But from a trip perspective, it's meant to be within the trip because there could be several different.
So when the email goes out, what's the URL on it? Is it so it wouldn't be Dream Escape, it would be famguru.dreamescape, or how would it look?
Right. It's like no reply at, but it comes from your name, right? So it's coming from you as an individual. It's not coming from FamGuru. We know for deliverability and opening purposes, we need for them to see it from someone that they understand. And so, yes, it's exactly for that purpose. They may not know FamGuru, but they're going to know Dream Escape, right? So I will mention that just so you know, our revenue model is based on subscriptions, just so you know how we make money. And those are starting at around $169 a month and going up from there, depending on the type of plan that you have, the number of trips you're doing per year, the number of advisors that you would have on a given trip. And I'd be happy to follow through with that separately after our conversation today. So let's see. Those are some of the questions that everybody knows.
I know. And I've got no, thank you. That was really useful. Yes, I wasn't expecting to jump on the call. Kristen just said, "Oh, jump on this." So yeah, so that was good.
Terrific. So, all right. I'm just going to share one little thing, and so you know how to find us. So let's see. Let me go to my share, and let's see. That is not. Well, I'm going to try and see what shares here. There we go. Does everybody see that? So just to let you know, I'd be happy to do a follow-up and speak with anybody individually about your specific needs. We can book a follow-up call, and you're certainly welcome to try FamGuru. Everybody has one trip on a complimentary basis, and I know Las Vegas has already tried it, and we're talking about some other, what we're doing next from that. And so you're welcome to sign up, play with the platform, and see what you think, or to run a full trip on it. And happy to help you get started on that. And there's my contact info. So
fantastic. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Melissa, Carrie. Nice to meet
you. Thank you.
All right, well, thank you. Everyone's so grateful to have you here, and look forward to being in touch from here.
Thank you. Cheers.
Thank you, Carrie. Thank you, Melissa.
Thank you.
All right, take care, everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye.